Private George D. Wilson is a Medal of Honor recipient who was recognized for his bravery during the American Civil War, specifically for his actions during the Battle of Petersburg. His story, while not as widely known as some of the more famous Medal of Honor recipients, stands as a testament to the courage and sacrifices made by countless soldiers during that turbulent period in American history. While the details of his life before and after the war may not be as documented, his act of heroism on the battlefield was significant enough to earn him the nation's highest military decoration, Private George D. Wilson's Medal of Honor. Story: The Civil War, a Nation. Divided, the American Civil War, lasting from 1861 to 1865, tore the United States apart. Fought primarily between the Union, northern states, and the Confederacy, southern states, the war was centered around issues of slavery, states' rights, and the very identity of the nation itself. Over 600,000 Americans died in the conflict, and thousands of soldiers, both Union and Confederate, performed acts of remarkable bravery. The Medal of Honor was created in 1861 to recognize soldiers who displayed extraordinary courage in battle. During the Civil War, the Medal of Honor was awarded to many men whose actions on the battlefield helped shape the course of history. George D. Wilson, the man behind the medal. Born in 1834, George D. Wilson enlisted as a private in the Union Army during the Civil War. His personal life before the war is not well documented, and much of what we know about him comes from his military service records. Wilson joined the Army and served in the 1st New York Cavalry Regiment, a unit that participated in numerous significant battles throughout the war. The 1st New York Cavalry was actively involved in the Eastern Theater of the war, including notable engagements in Virginia and Maryland. By 1864, as the war neared its final stages, the Confederacy was increasingly on the defensive, and Union forces were beginning to apply pressure on key cities such as Richmond, Virginia, and Petersburg. The Battle of Petersburg. One of the major military operations in the closing year of the Civil War was the Siege of Petersburg. Located in southern Virginia, Petersburg was a vital transportation hub for the Confederate Army, serving as a crucial supply line to the Confederate capital, Richmond. If Petersburg fell, it would be disastrous for the Confederate cause. In June 1864, General Ulysses S. Grant and his Union forces laid siege to Petersburg, and the battle would last for nearly 10 months. Throughout the siege, the Union forces launched several attacks on the Confederate defenses, and the battle saw some of the fiercest and bloodiest fighting of the war. The heroic act of Private Wilson. During the Siege of Petersburg in 1864, Private George D. Wilson's courage and valor came to the forefront. On June 18, 1864, Wilson's regiment was engaged in intense combat near the Confederate fortifications surrounding Petersburg. It was a period of high tension and overwhelming danger as Union forces attempted to break through the Confederate defenses. As the Union forces launched an assault, Private Wilson found himself in a critical position. His regiment, the 1st New York Cavalry, was in the thick of the fighting, and the situation was dire. In the midst of this chaos, Wilson demonstrated exceptional bravery. It was reported that Wilson, without regard for his own safety, charged forward and single-handedly captured a Confederate flag, an act that was incredibly risky and could have cost him his life. In the heat of battle, capturing the enemy's flag was a significant achievement because it not only disrupted the morale of the opposing forces but also represented a physical symbol of victory. In an era where capturing the enemy's flag was a highly esteemed accomplishment, Wilson's action was a display of extraordinary courage. He faced the full force of the Confederate defenders and overcame the odds to take possession of the flag. This act of valor did not go unnoticed. The bravery of Private Wilson was duly recognized, and on November 30, 1865, he was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions at the Battle of Petersburg. Wilson's courage in capturing the Confederate flag marked a pivotal moment in the history of the Civil War and underscored the critical role that individual acts of heroism played in shaping the outcome of the conflict. After the war, legacy and recognition. Following the end of the Civil War, George D. Wilson returned to civilian life, and like many other veterans, he faced the challenges of reintegration into society after years of war. The Medal of Honor, awarded to him in 1865, served as a reminder of his bravery and the sacrifices made by countless soldiers like him during the war. Wilson's story, while not as widely recognized as some of his more famous contemporaries, stands as a testament to the courage of all those who served. His actions at the Battle of Petersburg illustrate the dedication, sacrifice, and valor that defined the soldiers of the Union Army. There is limited information on his life after the war, but it is believed that he continued to live in New York for some time before his death. His Medal of Honor citation, like many others from the Civil War, is a reflection of the unique and personal stories of heroism that defined the era. Private George D. Wilson's act of valor serves as an important reminder that history is filled with countless stories of courage, sacrifice, and honor. While the names of some Medal of Honor recipients may be more well known, each story contributes to the broader narrative of the Civil War and the legacy of those who fought for the Union. Through his Medal of Honor citation, Wilson's legacy endures, ensuring that his courage on the battlefield will never be forgotten. Conclusion. Private George D. Wilson's Medal of Honor. Recognition reflects the bravery of an individual soldier during the American Civil War, a conflict that reshaped the United States. His actions at the Battle of Petersburg exemplify the kind of courage that was required to succeed in one of the most challenging military conflicts in American history. Though his story may not be as well known as some of his contemporaries, Wilson's service and sacrifice represent the experiences of countless soldiers who fought to preserve the Union. His legacy lives on, and his Medal of Honor serves as a symbol of the courage and resilience of the men who fought during the Civil War.